goals, but have you heard the one about the on-loan goalkeeper who saved his temporary employers from disappearing out the Football League and into almost certain financial oblivion? Back in 1999, Carlisle United, managed by Nigel Pearson, were fighting to stay in the Football League. Carlisle's finances were precarious with a capital P that season, leading to a scenario where, with 3 games to go, they had to ask the FA to sanction an emergency loan deal to bring in a goalkeeper. Swindon Town's Jimmy Glass arrived at the club. His efforts in his first 2 games earned the Cumbrians 2 draws. Those vital points meant that Carlisle went into their final game of the Division 3 season, now League 2, needing to beat mid-table Plymouth Argyle in front of their own fans and hope their relegation rival Scarborough didn't win against Peterborough at home. The game at the McCain Stadium finished 1-1, and with the same scoreline at Brunton Park deep into injury time, Scarborough's fans invaded the pitch en masse, believing their Football League status was secure, convinced they'd done enough to stay up. However, there'd be one more plot twist. Carlisle won a corner in the dying seconds, and up came Jimmy Glass. In one of those you couldn't make it up moments, Glass scored from a rebounded header and was promptly swamped by teammates and thousands of fans who quite simply couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. As for Jimmy Glass, he became an overnight celebrity, but he never played for Carlisle again, and his playing career never really kicked on after that defining moment. He took on various jobs outside of football before finding his way back into the sport as player liaison officer at Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, and most recently the general manager at non-league Wimborne. Not the fairy tale ending to one of the most Hollywood moments in football, but the name Jimmy Glass will live on forever as the scorer of that goal, arguably the most important in any club's history.
Yes, it's Friday. Got Zach and Dave in the control room. I'm Nick Ellaby. This is Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. We'll start with last night's Europa League games. We got a Serie A update for you ahead of Jamie Vardy's team playing Inter live on the talkSPORT YouTubes this weekend. We'll get an update from the Australian Open. Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner, Zverev, all in action in today's semi-finals. And we're asking for your game of the weekend. What should we be bigging up here on talkSPORT? I want you to get in touch. Tell me, what is the best game this weekend and why should we be talking about it? We're building up to talkSPORT Breakfast at 6 a.m. with Shebahn Aherne and Ray Party Parlour. We'll find out how his move's going, whether he started building that new bar yet or not. As always, get involved this morning on the usual number. Give us a call, 03717 223344, or WhatsApp, text, send us a message on 81089. Let's get into it, guys. Well, another great night for the British sides in Europe. Villa finishing second thanks to one of their own, the young Jimmer Aloba. We'll get onto that in a second. Villa, 3-2 win, a comeback win over RB Salzburg. We'll start with Aston Villa. There is good news and bad news, but we're going to start with that good news, though. 19-year-old academy project, Jamaldeen Jimmer Aloba, got the comeback winner at home to RB Salzburg, and Alex Crook was there for us.
Only Jimmer Aloba and Rogers ahead of Young into the penalty area. Cuts it back for Jimmer Aloba! And Aston Villa lead! And it's one of their young guns off the bench. to score the storybook goal. Jamaldine Jimo Aloba sweeps home right-footed to put Aston Villa top of the Europa League table tonight. They lead by 3 goals to 2 at Villa Park.
It's a wonderful goal, isn't it? You're looking at that. Caden Young does everything right.
Is there anything better in football than an academy product coming out, into the team, scoring the winner? Jamaldine Jimo Aloba, just 19 years old and straight into the Holt end. Absolute scenes at Villa Park. They fought back from 2-0 down. Really bad error from Tyrone Mings, though. Gifted RB Salzburg the first goal. A bit of a mix-up at the back. Just let the striker in with a really poor pass, poor control. The bad news for Villa, Ollie Watkins came off with a hamstring injury in the first half, potentially opening the door for Tammy Abraham to come straight into the side. Harvey Elliott made his first appearance in 4 months. It's nice to see him on a football pitch. He had a crack from outside the box, but blazed over. Morgan Rogers scored a beauty. Tyrone Mings made up for his error with a goal as well in the second half, and then 19-year-old Jamaldine Jimo Aloba with that winner for Villa in the 87th minute. That second place finish means Villa will play home in the second leg all the way to the final. If they get it, they got Unai Emery, the Europa League master, and talkSPORT's Chris Uwelimo did a little review of the game for us afterwards.
Game of 2 halves, I think team came out, started a little bit poor, conceded that second goal, and then got into gear, and showed the quality that they possess. I've got to say, I think in-game management, bringing on the players, the quality that can influence the game in a positive way, they've done exactly that. Matty Cash coming on, Konza coming on, like you say, Jimmy Aloba coming on, getting his goal, Caden Young. Now, the quality's there, but they cannot start the game. Complacency. Found themselves second best over the pitch, but have the quality to turn it around the way they did, and what a fantastic result it was in the end.
Yeah, Villa do have a lot of quality in the side, but that Watkins injury adding to their problems. Yuri Tielemans, we know, is out for maybe 2 months. John McGinn is off as well in the treatment room, and Boubacar Kamara out for the season. Potentially Tammy Abraham with that Watkins injury could go straight into the side for Villa against Brentford on Sunday. Villa are then playing Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, and they got Newcastle in the FA Cup 4th round after that. So, not the worst of runs, but problems mounting up for Emery there at Villa in terms of the injuries. And then moving on to Nottingham Forest, terrible result last week at Braga, but flying into the playoffs now with a bit of momentum. A 4-0 win over Robbie Keane's Ferencvaros. Nottingham Forest were already into those playoffs, but they take some momentum into that now. Next month's games, 2 legs next month. It's going to be tricky, whoever they've got. We understand it's going to be either Fenerbahce or Panathinaikos. But that 4-0 win at home to Robbie Keane's Ferencvaros, Jim Proudfoot was on comms for us for that one.
So McAtee with a chance to make it 4-0 in the 90th minute, and he sends the keeper the wrong way. What a night for Nottingham Forest. And if anything, it just increases and exaggerates the frustrations of their performance in Braga last week, because that has cost them a top 8 finish. But they've done their bit tonight, and they've set themselves up for the big league game with Palace of the weekend in some style. Forest 4, Ferencvaros 0.
Well, that Forest Palace game's, a bit of a grudge match now, isn't it? We saw that quite fruity banner in the last game they played. It'd be interesting to see what happens in that one. Forest already through to the playoffs, as I said, in the Europa League. An own goal in the first half helped them out. Then Igor Jesus, really growing into his role, spearheading Forest's attack, scored either side of the break. The second of Igor Jesus' goal was a really sharp finish, well taken. He's now the second top scorer in the Europa League, Igor Jesus, with 6 goals. And also good to see James McAtee playing well. I've always been a big fan of James McAtee, Man City Academy product. I've seen him play live once or twice and really impressed with him. Fantastic midfielder, and hopefully I want to see him get some more games, because I think he could be a solid Premier League player, certainly for Forest and anyone else who might try and come in for him. Forest finished 13th in the group in the end, so Sean Dyche's side will either face Fenerbahce or Panathinaikos in those playoffs next month. And talkSPORT's Leanne Sanderson says Igor Jesus is really growing into that role up top for Forest.
This is a guy that's, 24 years old. I saw him play for Botafogo in the Club World Cup in the summer, and you can see he's got a lot about him. Like, when you look at Gyökeres and he's not scoring goals, when he's not scoring goals, he's kind of stagnant.
Yes.
He doesn't really move, he's not really making runs, whereas Igor Jesus, even when he's not scoring goals, similar to Gabriel Jesus, they're always active and it always causing problems. He makes purposeful runs, he holds the ball up really well when he's got sometimes 3 or 4 players around him. So, we touched upon it with Sarah, the Forest fan, before the game. Like, she spoke about the runs that he makes, unselfish runs. But I think he's, for his first season in the Premier League, they'll want more goals. But in Europe, I think he's been excellent.
Yeah, he has been good, actually. And, he's got such a good all-round game, Igor Jesus. Tim Vickery, the Brazilian football expert, actually described Igor Jesus as the new Drogba. Forest fans are going to be hoping he will keep them safe this season. The happy-sounding Sean Dyche was really pleased with a lot of elements of that Forest team performance.
Tonight was, I think, a reminder there's quality here, and that teamship, that's important. Maka gets his goal, the first one over to celebrate was Morgan. That shows the teamship, the connection in the group, and that's important when we've got so many games. And I like that aspect to it, not just some of the quality moments, but that feel of the group.
Yeah, Forest playing Palace this weekend. That should be a tasty game. And then, it's a cliche, but what a job our pal Martin O'Neill is doing at Celtic. They were bottom. They were 24th, weren't they, coming into last night's game. They got a massive 4-2 win over Utrecht, the Dutch side. Celtic went 3-0 up in 19 minutes. An own goal as well, helping them. Benjamin Nygren scored. Arne Engels got a penalty. Utrecht came back to make it 3-2 before Austin Trusty added Celtic's 4th. Celtic up to 21st with that win. Looks like they're going to be playing, or potentially playing, Robbie Keane's Ferencváros. Martin O'Neill, though, 14 games since he came back in for the second interim spell. Just 1 loss in that one. That was to a really good Michelin side who finished 3rd in the Europa League group. So let's hear from the man himself.
You'd have got long odds about us qualifying after about 4 games or something like this here, but great credit to the players, genuinely great credit to them. They worked tirelessly, and they have done. And I just said to them before the game that you don't want, last Thursday's performance was magnificent, playing for 60 minutes with 10 men. The performance in Feyenoord was great, so you just didn't want that to count for nothing. And the only way that we could not count for nothing was just get through, and we won. And so we're in the next stages of the knockout, and another night at Celtic Park.
Do not count Celtic out under Martin O'Neill at the moment. They're going to play either Stuttgart or Ferencváros in the playoffs, and potentially a reunion between Martin O'Neill and Ferencváros boss Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane obviously played under O'Neill. O'Neill said Robbie now has a bit of pedigree after winning the league in Hungary. So could be a great tie between those two. And just finally, we're going to finish on quite an emotional note here. Anthony Joshua has posted, it's such an emotional message on Instagram, and we know he lost his 2 friends and colleagues in Nigeria. Latif Ayodele and Sinagami were killed in that car crash that AJ walked away from in Nigeria, something that must be quite hard to get over. Here's what AJ said on Instagram.
They're my brothers, they're my friends, first and foremost. And then we became business partners, we became hustlers, we became lieutenants, we became generals, we became everything. We became housemates, we were living together, do you know what I mean? It's a shame, but so there's that side of things. And then what can I say? One day my time will come, and I'm not scared either at all. It's actually comforting knowing that I've got 2 brothers on the other side.
It's tough to hear, isn't it? But good on AJ for coming out and speaking like that. It must be so hard to get over something like that when you lose 2 friends and walk away from it yourself. You hear AJ talking about mortality there. Everyone here, I know at talkSPORT, will be sending their love and support to AJ, whatever he decides to do with his life and career next. We had seen him back in the gym recently, and he posted a message sort of saying mental strength therapy. But those questions about whether he comes back and fights again professionally, I think are just to be put to one side now. But yeah, huge love and respect to AJ. Very emotional scenes in Rio. I don't know as well if you saw the videos on social media overnight of Lucas Paquetá, left West Ham, back home in Rio de Janeiro, back at Flamengo, his boyhood club. There was unbelievable scenes. He was greeted out of the airport and then back in Rio. Loads of fans there and great scenes with Paquetá and his family, and Paquetá fighting back the tears as well as he hugged his Flamengo fans. He's been through so much at West Ham. Personally, I'm so happy to see Lucas Paquetá back home, and you know, Flamengo are building something there under Felipe Luis as well, the former Chelsea left back who's doing really well as a coach. So a lot of love out to Lucas Paquetá as well. Today we're asking, ahead of this weekend's action, what do you think is the game of the weekend? You tell me what the game of the weekend is. What should we be looking forward to? Get in touch. I'll read your messages out later in the show as we build up to the weekend's action. 03717 223344 or text 81089. This is Early Breakfast on talkSPORT with me, Nick Ellaby. Up next, we'll chat to a very special guest and take a look at the Aussie Open and the back pages as well.
What have we got this morning? I'm hearing that Crystal Palace are prepared to throw some money around, right?
Yeah, they've thrown money around already in this transfer window. It was a club record deal that took Brennan Johnson from Tottenham to Crystal Palace. Now it looks like they're going to smash that transfer record again. Wolves still waiting for the formal written offer, but we can report an agreement in principle between Crystal Palace and Wolverhampton Wanderers for their one-to-way striker, Jørgen Strand Larsen. I'm told that offer, when it does come in, will be £45 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So a £50 million deal for a player I know that Simon Jordan doesn't rate particularly highly.
Neither do you.
£50 million player.
Right? It's called an opinion. I was prepared to pay £5 million for Adi Akinbaye. What does that say about me? If you go back 20 years and look at the comparative scale, they're probably in the sort of ballpark of money.
You're being harsh on this lad.
I think he's useless. I do, but that's just my personal opinion. If Palace don't think he is, then I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I'll be happy for him to go and make a big deal of scoring lots of goals for Palace and making me look a fool. I'll be happy to be on the receiving end of that. Listen, if they've sold Gehi, which has funded the transfer of Brennan Johnson, because they've probably got Man City to pay all up and pay for Brennan Johnson on the drip. They might do the same here. Yeah. They sell Mateta. So what? I mean, look. I'm not. Do you like him as a player, Alex?
Well, Alex, I was about to say, Alex. I mean, you work in games live for talkSPORT, and no doubt have seen Strand Larsen live on a few occasions while Simon's been trolling around Legoland. What do you see in this player?
I thought he looked a handful last season. Obviously, that prompted interest from Newcastle in the summer, but he's not been able to replicate that this season. I remember speaking to Sean Derry, actually, former Wolves coach at Arsenal. I think it was the first day of last season, and said, "What's this boy all about?" And he said, "You know what? In training, he looks the real deal. He could well be someone who scores goals regularly in the Premier League." So I'll reserve judgment. I still think they should have taken the money, Wolves, when Newcastle offered it last summer.
Good morning, I'm Nick Ellaby. This is the Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. Thanks for your company this morning. We've already spoken about great night for Villa, for Forest, for Celtic in the Europa League. I've got a bit of a Friday feeling. We're building up to talkSPORT Breakfast at 6 a.m. with Shebahn Aherne and Ray Party Parlo's just moved into his new gaff. He's probably planning his Friday afternoon Cobra bombs as we speak. A few more things you need to know this morning. We understand Crystal Palace still haven't formally submitted an offer for Jørgen Strand Larsen, casting doubt on the deal for the Wolves forward. Palace have agreed a deal to get Aston Villa's Evan Gesson on loan as well. That might sort of scupper that one. It's believed Forest have offered $35 million for Mateta, Nottingham Forest that is. AC Milan and Juventus are also interested in Mateta, so watch that one as we head towards transfer deadline day on Monday. We'll be bringing you all the action, all the deadlines with Jim White and Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs on Monday. Meanwhile, Emma Raducanu is now looking for her 9th tennis coach in less than 5 years. The British number one has split with Francisco Roge, bringing an end to their 6-month partnership. Raducanu's decision comes a week on from her exit in the second round of the Australian Open. Struggles continue there. And Burnley boss Scott Parker says he's thrilled to bring in James Ward-Prowse. The midfielder arrives on loan from fellow Premier League strugglers West Ham till the end of the season. Parker believes Ward-Prowse's experience and leadership will be crucial in their fight for survival.
We've seen James played in numerous games in the Premier League, brings a know-how and has been at the level professional-wise as well in terms of what he represents and what he stands for. I think he'll be a very good addition for us, really. So we're pleased with that signing.
Now, Ward-Prowse, this could be big for him, right? He's got 17 direct free-kick goals. He's only one behind David Beckham in the all-time direct free-kick goal scorers in the Premier League. Could he keep Burnley up with a few cheeky ones from outside the box and also surpass David Beckham? We'll find out in a bit. For all the bigger stories, go to talksport.com. Now, it is 5:20. Time now for our hot new Friday feature. Hit it, Dave.
Knowing me, knowing you, there is nothing we can do. Knowing me, knowing you, we just have to face it this time.
That's right, knowing me, knowing you, we get to know a little bit more about a very special guest this week. I don't know how we got this guy. It's Ali McCoist. We started asking Ali for his Uber rating.
My Uber rating, believe it or not, I think is a very, very respectable 4.87. However, I have to inform you, I don't use Uber in London. Is that rather controversial? I just travel on the underground in London if I can, because I just think it's quicker. Believe it or not, I find it less stressful. Bizarrely, you would think maybe on the underground it'd be more stressful, but I find it less stressful because at least you're moving all the time. And I can't lie to you, I'm a people watcher in the right possible manner. I enjoy people watching and seeing what's going on, so I enjoy it. But I use Uber, obviously elsewhere, particularly, believe it or not, in Portugal, when I'm off on holidays with the family. Yeah, Portugal would be my number one destination for Uber.
Well, I mean, he's a national treasure here. He's probably a national treasure in Portugal as well. His Uber rating, Ali McCoist, is 4.87. That puts him at the top of our Uber League tables. Huey Morgan, the Virgin Radio DJ, 4.82. Shebahn Aherne as well, 4.82. I've got 4.81, so I've got a little bit to go there. Not quite as friendly as Ali McCoist is. Katie Shanahan, though, bottom of the league. She's looking at getting relegated. 4.77 her Uber rating. She's got a bit of work to do there. Chris Evans has never used it. Next week, we've got Stuart Pearce on. We'll find out his Uber rating next week. Next, we asked Ali, which sporting clip makes you most emotional when you watch it back?
Football-wise, two clips that I find incredibly emotional involve one of our talkSPORT friends, believe it or not, Troy Deeney. I actually watch that clip probably once a week. The drama unfolding, the passion, the excitement, the nerves, the reaction. Penalty.
Knockout, he's got beyond Briggs, still going. Knockout goes to ground as Cassetti leads on him. Penalty! That is a massive decision. What a huge decision given by Michael Oliver.
Dodgy penalty. Oh no, keeper saves it. Keeper saves the rebound.
Knockout takes, Almunia saves, knockout follows in, Almunia saves again.
And all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, they're down the right-hand side.
Forestieri.
Ball was knocked back across. It's unbelievable.
Here's Hogg! Deeney! Do not scratch your eyes. You are really seeing the most extraordinary finish here.
And I also watched Jimmy Glass scoring for Carlisle. Both incredibly magical, important, dramatic moments on a football pitch. But also that's created by the commentary. The commentary in both situations is absolutely fantastic.
The corner kick comes in. Oh, the goalkeeper's pass. Jimmy Glass has scored. Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, has scored a goal for Carlisle United. Oh no, we don't want it. There's a pitch invasion. There is a pitch invasion. The referee has been swamped by they've
Well, we don't need this.
we don't need it. They're bouncing on the crossbar.
We don't need it, but we do love it, don't we? That Jimmy Glass clip is unbelievable. I have to say my most emotional sports clip watching back is that Stuart Pearce penalty versus Spain in Euro 96. Gets me every time. Get in touch with yours. What sporting clip makes you most emotional when you watch it back? I'd love to hear from you, 81089. And finally, we asked Ali a music question. Who headlines your dream festival, both the alternative stage and the main stage?
Wow. Main stage, I'm taking either Springsteen or Rammstein. I want to throw the Clash in there. Right, I'm allowed three. I'm allowing myself three main stage acts. Springsteen, Rammstein, the Clash, small stage. Here's one for the kids. Killing Joke. There you are. I mean, what a gig. What a gig that would be.
This is 80s post-punk band Killing Joke. Ali McCoist's choice for his Dream Festival alternative stage headliners. This is Psych from the album Ward-Prowse. Very influential band. Nirvana were huge fans of Killing Joke. Ali McCoist will be back on the talkSPORT Breakfast with Jeff Stelling on Monday morning from 6 a.m. Right. Time now. It's 5:25 to get an Australian Open tennis update with Toby Gillis.
The Australian Open update on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Stream every set live on Discovery Plus or watch TNT Sports channels on EE, Sky and Virgin Media. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Brother, on the night shift, how's it going?
Good morning.
You well?
I am loving this job. It is. I don't care about the time. I'm watching a Grand Slam and I'm being paid for it. It's amazing.
It's Friday. We're watching sport. We got the eyes on the weekend. Feeling a couple of beers this afternoon. First of all, Toby, women's final tomorrow. Arina Sabalenka versus Elena Rybakina. Is anyone going to stop Sabalenka from winning? Is it a third in 4 years at the Aussie Open?
Yeah, absolutely. She was. It's her fourth consecutive final. She was beaten last year, surprisingly, by Madison Keys, who won her maiden Grand Slam, and probably, if we're being honest, it'll be her only Grand Slam. So it really was a shock. She is the form player. She's been absolutely outstanding and getting better through the tournament. You know, there was some odd moments early on where you thought, there's some improvement to be done here. But she's getting better and better and better. What I would say is, if anyone can stop her, it's Rybakina and her serve, essentially. Right. Which is probably a similar conversation. I mean, you know, for Rybakina and Sabalenka, have the conversation about Zverev with Alcaraz in the ongoing men's semi-final, because it's the same. It's like, can you beat the power and the overall game with the big serve?
On Zverev,
Rybakina's got a chance.
I mean, he's a set down to Alcaraz, 5-5 in the second.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we're expecting an Alcaraz victory here. Djokovic-Sinner. Can Djokovic do anything in the semi-final against Yannick Sinner?
Before you say that, I don't think we are necessarily expecting an Alcaraz victory here. Well, 6-all in their 12 matches between the two of them. Right. Zverev was just serving for the second set, by the way, and has just got broken back. He broke Alcaraz in the sixth game, but has just been broken back. So as you say, 5-all. But I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion, this. I think Zverev has got a far bigger chance of beating Alcaraz today than Djokovic has against Sinner. I think Sinner wins it, not just straight sets, but barely loses many games.
Okay, and super quick, Raducanu. I mean, is she ever going to get back to the top? What does she need to do? This coaching thing's a nightmare.
Yeah, she's seeking a 10th coach now of her career. I'll be honest with you. You talk about her going back to the top. I'm not sure she's top level. I never was totally convinced she was top level. The run, as extraordinary as it was to win the US Open, never really contained a sort of mega-star opponent. She got really quite lucky with that draw.
Leylah Fernandez in the final.
Leylah Fernandez
in the final.
Well, she's had, you know, all right, she hasn't won a Grand Slam, but, you know, in terms of consistency, she's had a far greater career than Emma Raducanu. I'm not sure we're ever going to see her at that level again. It feels like a bit of a one-off. The question for, you know, other people to answer is, does that therefore diminish what actually did happen when she won that US Open, which for many, some people, thinks was the greatest achievement in all of sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, this sort of massive albatross around her neck. I mean, you'd have to say she's probably looking like certainly Britain's best player, but whether you say she's world class or not, remains.
There's
to
some
be
great
seen.
younger players coming through, certainly in the women's game. I wouldn't be so surprised if she gets usurped in that particular regard soon.
The future's bright for British tennis. You heard it here first. Toby Gillis, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
this
you.
morning. I'm Nick Ellaby. You're listening to Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. It's 5:29. Up next, we'll have some fun with the front pages, and we're getting a big Jamie Vardy update.
Scott, I want to ask you about Pep because you know him very well, working under him. Will he be a Man City for the long run with this rebuild? I think you will personally, because he doesn't look like the sort of manager that will want to leave when he's not winning the big trophies. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously as well, I don't think there was many people expecting him to stay as long as he has. But to be honest, if you look at it, where else would he go and have as much control and as it's for me, it just seems like his club now. I know he come from Barcelona and he would say Barcelona's his club, but he's just transformed everything there. And to be honest, I wouldn't even like to say how long he could stay, because with him, it wouldn't surprise me if he'd done another 4 or 5 years, because the passion he has for it and how much he loves the club, it just wouldn't surprise me.
I'm watching him that touchline, Gabby, Scott, and he's hungry, man. He's motivated. You can see it. Absolutely see it.
Yeah.
Scott, I tell you what to ask you, mate. Goalkeeper, couple of old goal scorers here. Tell me, close up. He remarkably, in my opinion, comes in for a little bit of criticism. The finishing last night from Haaland, I thought was absolutely genius. The way he runs through, just lifts it. What's he like? What sets him above being one of the best finishers and goal scorers I think we've ever seen?
Yeah, I think obviously watching that goal as well last night, people were talking the last week or two saying, is he struggling for confidence or what? And then
Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from recent years at the Ryder Cup. As caddy Billy Foster went to relieve himself at the Belfry, he noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had toilet paper. Shortly after he'd sat down, Tiger Woods went into the empty cubicle and realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe 1-up." Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina. Rory McIlroy overslept and was in danger of missing his Sunday tea time. Thankfully, travel organiser Erica Stoll sorted him a police escort. And 3 years later, McIlroy proposed. Scottish legend Sam Torrance tells many a yarn about the great Ballesteros. Apparently, Seve would regularly give coaching clinics to his European teammates. When the same players asked for help a week later at the Italian Open, Seve would tell them to Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round, and as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
wait for the drop. Good morning, I'm Nick Ellaby. This is Early Sports Breakfast. Huge wins for Villa, Forest and Celtic in the Europa League last night. We've heard that emotional video message from AJ as well after losing his friends in that car crash. Love and support to AJ from all of us here. You can see more on that at talksport.com. We're building up to TalkSport Breakfast with Shebahn Aherne and Ray Party Parlour from 6 a.m. Some of your headlines this Friday morning. It looks like Roberto De Zerbi is agitating to leave Marseille. We understand he's offered his resignation after Marseille crashed out of the Champions League. There will be a few Premier League teams interested in De Zerbi's services come the summer, I reckon. Bristol City welcome Derby live on talkSPORT tonight. Both know a win would take them into those Championship playoff places. Such a tight division. Bristol City go into that game at Ashton Gate off the back of a win against Sheffield Wednesday. And England's white ball cricketers are in action again in Sri Lanka today. Jofra Archer's back in the side. He's recovered from his Ashes injury. Ahead of next month's T20 World Cup, England are warming up with this 3-match series out in Sri Lanka. And opening bat Phil Salt's told talkSPORT he's putting all his energy into becoming the best T20 player in the world.
You know, I could spend my time going, I feel like I'm one of the best, if not the, in the country, and why aren't I? I could spend my time doing that, but what I'm going to do, instead of just focus on myself, just say I'm going to be the best I can be at this. This is where I've still got an opportunity to impact and win games and, you know, take us deep into a World Cup. And that's what I focused on. That's what excites me, and that's what I'm going to do. You know, a lot of guys often say, the spread too thin, the schedule. You know, there's all sorts of challenges that come with playing more than one format of international cricket. But now I feel like I've got an opportunity where I can put my full energy into being the best I can be at T20, and that does really excite me.
Phil Salt there. He's certainly on the way. I mean, he's definitely one of the best players in the IPL over the last few seasons, and opening the batting for England, giving them a platform. Huge hitter. You can hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of the T20 series between Sri Lanka and England on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Game 1 in Kandy starts at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. More on the biggest stories, just go to talksport.com. Right, it's 5:36. Time now to down a can of Red Bull and take a trip to Italy.
Campionato di calcio italiano.
Oh, that is it. That is evocative music. Very good morning to Patrick Kendrick, Serie A commentator and interpreter. Morning, Pat.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. What's Red Bull in Italian? Is it Toro Rosso?
No, that's just the Formula One thing. It's Red Bull. It's, with a rolled R. Make sure you roll the R.
Are you? Apparently you said your wife wasn't happy with the early alarm call. Are you in the doghouse or are we okay?
I'm in the kitchen, but I'm going to be muttering slightly. I've boosted my mic to a max, so hopefully I can speak quietly and you can still hear me, and I won't wake her up. There we go.
Loud and clear, Pat. Lovely kitchen echo as well. Look, we want to know about Jamie Vardy, right? We've got the game between Cremonese and Inter on the talkSPORT YouTube on Sunday. How's Vardy been received in Italy and in Cremona itself? We're not quite talking McTominay levels, are we?
Not quite, but I had the honour of actually interpreting for him at his unveiling, which was done in pomp and circumstance in Cremona, which is world famous for violins. So he actually did his first press conference in the auditorium at the Violin Museum, which was quite good. And I interviewed him on behalf of the club as well, and there was a question about the Violin Museum itself, which I didn't know how he was going to take, but he'd studied up and he knew all about the fact that the violins had to be played on a weekly basis. So he's really gone all in on the Cremonese project, and there are a load of fans outside waiting for him. Yeah, not quite McTominay levels, but not far off, and he's found the net 5 times as well, I think.
I mean, at his age, he's got to be playing on a weekly basis. Is it five goals in 18 games? Has he been playing well as well?
He has been playing well, yeah. His game is not just about goals. Clearly, obviously, that's what he specialises in, but he's been good at linking up play as well. And he actually won Player of the Month for November. He scored, and 4 of his 5 goals have come against teams that are up in the top half of the table that have played in Europe as well this season. He scored against Juventus, scored against Atalanta. He scored twice away at Bologna. That was their first home defeat of the season. So that's what allowed him to win Player of the Month in November. But Cremonese's form has just dropped off a bit. They're 8 without a win now, and he's stopped scoring. They've stopped winning.
Right. And in Cremonese, I think they're 16th. Inter flying at the top. Is this just going to be an away win for Inter on Sunday?
I would think so, because last week I did Inter Pisa. Admittedly, that game was at San Siro. This one's going to be at the Zini in Cremona. But Inter were 2-0 down after 20 minutes. They came back to win 6-2. So I think even if Cremonese had the lead, then no lead is safe with this Inter side at the moment. They've won 9 and drawn 1 of their last 10.
And just, I don't know if you know much about this potential Luis Enrique deal, Inter's winger. Bournemouth are keen, Everton and Villa too. Any noise in Italy about where he might end up?
Yeah, I think they're looking to offload him to a Premier League club because it's not really worked out for him at all. He was actually taken off in that game against Pisa. They were 2-0 down. He was playing right wing back. They took him off for Federico Di Marco, then came on and got a goal and 2 assists. And they felt like that was the sort of the end of the road for Luis Enrique because, being taken off for footballing reasons, for tactical reasons, rather than injury after half an hour, it's quite hard for him to come back from that. I mean, he's been a big money signing from Marseille. It's not really worked out. And he's not really been helped by Kivu, the head coach, either, who said earlier on this season, he said he's not ready for Serie A. I need to give him more time. We need to be more understanding with him. But once the fan base turns on you, and it seems to have done with the Brazilian, then it's pretty difficult to come back from that. But I think there is a player in there for sure.
Okay, and just finally, I wanted to get your sort of insight on this English dominance in the Champions League. How is that going down in Italy? Are they hacked off about it?
Very, very hacked off. Yeah, it's what I think the thing that jars more than anything is not only the fact that these Premier League teams are all qualifying directly for the round of 16. I think with the exception of one, wasn't it? I think Newcastle.
Yeah, that's right.
But also the fact that so many of these Premier League teams are poaching players from Italy that aren't necessarily European qualifiers or teams in the top half of the table. You know, some of those teams you mentioned there for Luis Enrique, if they're coming to get a player from Inter, even if in this case it would do Inter a favour because, helping to offload a player that's perhaps surplus to requirements. They do find it frustrating when some of their best players are being just cherry-picked by Premier League teams that are either in the mid-table or perhaps even in a relegation battle. So there's growing concern that this dominance from Premier League teams is not going to help European football in general, particularly in the Champions League. And we're worse off this year in Italy. Last year we had 3 Italian teams in the playoff round, Atalanta, Milan and Juventus. Inter went through, made it all the way to the final. This year, Napoli obviously crashed out and the other 3 are in the playoffs. So there's a worry that the precedent is that Italy lost in all 3 of their playoffs last year. So hopefully it goes differently this time around when we get the draw later on today.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Sorry to your wife. Give her a hug from me. And when you come to London, we'll get a beer. I owe you a pint. Get back to bed. Have a good day. That was Patrick Kendrick, Serie A commentator and interpreter. We've got Cremonese versus Inter live on the talkSPORT YouTube on Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for your text this morning. I've been asking you about what games we should be previewing this weekend. Great text here from Michael. Game of the weekend is Ballymallard versus Kesh in the Fermanagh Gaelic football final. Kesh have beaten Ballymallard by 1 point in the last 7 finals. Good morning, Michael, and good luck to those teams involved. Kate getting in touch as well. Good morning, Nick. She says it from a frosty Bolton. I'm so sad for Anthony Joshua. We heard that message on his Instagram at the top of the show. Kate saying, makes you realise we're here for a good time, not a long time. Well done to Lucas Paquetá as well. Kate's pleased for him. He deserves a bit of happiness. I agree with you, Kate. And Kate's game of the weekend, she says, as a United fan, I can't possibly shout for Leeds, but Leeds versus Arsenal sounds like an interesting one. Arsenal do need to win that and kind of stop this little wobble they're having. Have a lovely weekend, Kate. Thank you very much. And just finally, Conrad as well says, good morning. Being a Leeds supporter, the only game is Leeds versus Arsenal. Ali McCoist, knowing me, you, made me laugh. The people watching stuff, he loves Portugal as well. He's saying, this is Conrad, said hello to Martin Keown at breakfast in Fortaleza during the World Cup in Brazil. I'm not one to interrupt one's private time, Conrad says. He was heading off to Brasilia. Hope Martin Keown gave you the time of day, Conrad. Have a great weekend. Right, it is 5:43. Time for this.
It's a front page throwdown.
Oh, what a move!
The front page is first on the early sports breakfast.
talkSPORT.
This is usually the maddest section of the show. Amelia is back in the studio to have a look at the lighter side of today's front pages. What on earth do you have for me?
I've got a bit of variety for you. How about we start with a bit of Oasis?
Yeah, always good.
Right, so the Liverpool rock group Cast, they opened for the Gallagher brothers whilst they were on their tour. They reckon that Oasis could get another album out of them.
Noel was talking about this.
Yeah, so apparently it all depends on how they feel.
Yeah.
If Noel writes the music, Liam will definitely be able to produce something out of it.
Yeah.
But
His
yeah.
voice was sounding incredible this summer.
Did you go to see them?
I'm not an Oasis fan. No, I didn't go to see them.
Oh.
The prices were ridiculous. I like, I would say, proper rock music, heavy rock music,
Ooh,
right?
bit of a dig there.
You know, they're a great band. And actually, I wouldn't mind if Wonderwall was the new national anthem. We were talking about this the other day, right? But look, next story. What have we got?
Right, moving swiftly on. Right, so there's been a new documentary that's been come out of King Charles, and within the documentary, he's revealed that he's a huge jacket potato fan. And what I did particularly enjoy that, ironically, his favourite type of potato is a Duke of York potato.
Mm-hmm.
But I then thought, what is your favourite way to eat a potato?
Jacket potato? Or just any
Just
potato?
any way to eat a potato. Chips, mash.
There's only one winner. It's chips.
No, not a roasty.
I don't know. Do you make good roast potatoes?
I'm quite good at a roasting.
What's your sort of technique? Do you shake them up?
Yeah, but then sometimes I might do like smashed roast potatoes. So that's when you get a glass and you smash them down, and then you get really crispy edges.
That sounds good. I want to know, what does Charles have on his baked potato? Tuna? Is he a tuna and sweet corn man?
He doesn't say. He just says that
Is it Coronation Chicken?
I wouldn't be surprised, you know. That would be really good if it was. But no, he just says, if you want to have a decent baked potato, which I love, you've got to have the crispy skins. So the red Duke of Yorks are very good. We won't be delving into what...
Incredible.
What
Amelia,
his opinions
that is all we've got time for, but I think the TalkSPORT listeners will know they only eat jacket potato is cheese, beans and butter. Right, 5:46. Up next, we'll look ahead to this weekend's Premier League games, and you could win an all-expensive paid trip to South Africa.
What have we got this morning? I'm hearing that Crystal Palace are prepared to throw some money around, right?
Yeah, they've thrown money around already in this transfer window. It was a club record deal that took Brennan Johnson from Tottenham to Crystal Palace. Now it looks like they're going to smash that transfer record again. Wolves still waiting for the formal written offer, but we can report an agreement in principle between Crystal Palace and Wolverhampton Wanderers for their one-to-way striker, Jørgen Strand Larsen. I'm told that offer, when it does come in, will be £45 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So a £50 million deal for a player I know that Simon Jordan doesn't rate particularly highly.
Neither do you, do you?
£50 million player.
Right? It's called an opinion. I was prepared to pay £5 million for Eddie Akinbaye. What does that say about me? If you go back 20 years and look at the comparative scale, they're probably in the sort of ballpark of money.
You're being harsh on this lad.
I think he's useless. I do, but that's just my personal opinion. If Palace don't think he is, then I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I'll be happy for him to go and make a big deal of scoring lots of goals for Palace and making me look a fool. I'll be happy to be on the receiving end of that. Listen, if they've sold Gehi, which has funded the transfer of Brennan Johnson, because they've probably got Man City to pay all up and pay for Brennan Johnson on the drip. They might do the same here. Yeah. They sell Mateta. So what? I mean, look. I'm not. Do you like him as a player, Alex?
Well, Alex, I was about to say, Alex. I mean, you work in games live for talkSPORT, and no doubt have seen Strand Larsen live on a few occasions while Simon's been trolling around Legoland. What do you see in this player?
I thought he looked a handful last season. Obviously, that prompted interest from Newcastle in the summer, but he's not been able to replicate that this season. I remember speaking to Sean Derry, actually, former Wolves coach at Arsenal. I think it was the first day of last season, and said, "What's this boy all about?" And he said, "You know what? In training, he looks the real deal. He could well be."
to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
Yes, good morning. I'm Nick Ellaby. This is the Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. We're building up to breakfast at 6 a.m. with Shebahn Aherne and Ray Party Parlour. These African beats means it's competition time. England are back in South Africa next winter, and the Barmy Army is heading out in full force. This is your chance to be right there with them. Win a week for two at the 2027 New Year's Test in Cape Town. Great ground there at Newlands. Watch every day of the match at one of the world's greatest grounds. Flights, hotels, spending money, that's all covered. You'll get two places with the official Barmy Army, putting you right in the heart of the atmosphere with the loudest and proudest fans in cricket. Listen up. Here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close February the 6th at 4 p.m. That's when you need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Well, I thought there was an outstab there. Anyway, crashed out the competition. Coming up today on the station, 8 o'clock tonight on talkSPORT 2, we've got exclusive championship commentary. Bristol City versus Derby. That's presented by Hugh Woozencroft. Nigel Adderley on comms. Adrian Clark as well alongside him. A win for either Bristol City or Derby takes them into the playoff places. That's such a tight division this season. Coventry as well, after defeat to Norwich midweek, are going to be away at QPR. That's live for you on Saturday. Leicester are playing Charlton. That's also live tomorrow on talkSPORT. And as for the Premier League weekend, always a big weekend in the Premier League. Brighton Everton this weekend. Leeds versus Arsenal. That is now a huge game. Leeds are flying under Farke, and Arsenal just need to assert their dominance at the top of the league. Wolves versus Bournemouth. Chelsea West Ham. And then live, talkSPORT exclusive live on Saturday night, Liverpool versus Newcastle. Intriguing game that. Faker Others is your anchor for that one. Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce, one of my heroes, on commentary. And then on Sunday, Villa Brentford, Man United Fulham, Nottingham Forest Palace, which is now a grudge match, and Tottenham Man City. That could be a huge weekend in the title race. If Leeds can do something at home to Arsenal, and then Man City get a win away at Tottenham, who knows? It could be absolute scenes on Sunday. Big Man United fan, by the way. Usain Bolt was on Extra Time with Paul Ross this morning. What a get that is from the team. The greatest sprinter the world has ever seen. He's loving the way Michael Carrick has hit the ground running at Man United. And Bolt says he would be up for Carrick staying in the job long term.
I'll give him 3 more games. If he continues like this, even if he doesn't win, but the guys play positive and forward and more attacking, and we can see the belief. Even if they lose, I would rather Michael Carrick, because he understands the belief of the club, you know what I mean? And that's something that he was brought up in, and he's very good friends with Alex Ferguson, who can teach him and help him to guide him in the right direction.
Do you remember when Usain Bolt I don't know if he had a trial tried to have a trial at Man United. He tried to play in Australia as well, didn't he? Absolutely rapid, but couldn't control the ball for toffee. And then I've got to play you this clip. This is mental, right? Spurs hosting Man City on Sunday. We talked about that game. Last night, a Spurs fan called Jamie O'Hara on the sports bar to say he would take getting relegated if it meant Arsenal not winning the title.
So my analogy is that our season's gone to crap anyway. So if we lose against City and hypothetically don't get relegated, but it means Arsenal don't win the Premier League title, I'll take that, because it means that we don't have to live with Arsenal fans. And trust me, they're worse in Australia. They're still living in 2004.
No, mate, but we're becoming a bit of a comedy sketch, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Every season it comes round, we play Man City, and you go, oh yeah, we want to get beat because we're going to catch up points on Arsenal. Come on, we're a comedy club.
I don't want to get beat. I'll happily win, but if we lose, but then go on and beat, and it probably won't happen, we're going to beat Arsenal the next week, which basically gives us 3 points that we didn't get from City, but we got against Arsenal. We basically, essentially, at that point, it probably stopped Arsenal from winning the league.
To me, that is wild. But I'm joined in the studio this morning by talkSPORT legend and Spurs fan, Sim. Thank you. What you having that?
What, me, a legend?
No.
Not this early in the season, nah. We were in this position 2 years ago, weren't we? Or kind of coming up to 2 years ago in May 2024. And at that time, I think pretty much 95% of the Tottenham fan base were like, we have to lose this game to Man City, because essentially that would be... I mean, if we had won that game or got anything from that game, and we very nearly did, then Arsenal would have won it that season.
For me, that's bad karma, though. You can't ever wish your team to lose, can you?
Well, if it's bad karma, we've won something before Arsenal, haven't we? And do you know what? That one in 2024, it all worked out for us, didn't it? Because everyone was saying, "Oh, you want to be in the Champions League, don't you? Because that's the best competition. Don't worry about your rivals." Well, guess what? We're in the Champions League now because we went and won the Europa League, which we ended up in because we didn't win that game.
You going this weekend?
No, I'm going to be working.
Do you reckon Spurs can do something at home to Man City?
Do you know what? We weirdly doesn't matter how badly we're doing in the season or how well Man City are doing. We just seem to have their number. Ever since Pep arrived, we seem to be that team that's just kind of like his kryptonite, aren't we? But well, I think the way we're playing in the league at the moment, and this is the start of a horrendous February where, I'll be honest, I'm actually a little bit worried about relegation because of just how bad our form is domestically. It's the way Tottenham operate. We're a completely different team in Europe, although the fixtures have been very kind to us, and in the league we can't get a point for anything at the moment.
Just quickly, are you give Frank time or are you Frank out?
I'm who's out there to replace Frank at the moment. I'm in that kind of boat. Like, I think we're we'd be doing well to kind of find a replacement at the moment. Everything's looking towards Pochettino in the summer, really, isn't it? But you're not going to get him now, so yeah. I'm at the moment, I just don't really see what the option is, rather than whether to stick with him. Do you know what? We're stuck last season with Ange, and it worked out okay. So.
All right, Sim, thank you so much. Sim, talkSPORT legend and Spurs fan. They say never go back, but Pochettino could be a good move for Spurs at the moment. Just quickly, nice message from Andy this morning. Thank you for your message, Andy. Have a great weekend as well. And also, True Crime Jill has been in touch to say wrong. I said beans and cheese was the best jacket potato. She says it's tuna mayo. Good morning, Jill. Have a great weekend. And here is what's coming up on talkSPORT Breakfast today. Joining Shebahn and Ray Party Parlour, we have former Celtic and Villa midfielder Paul Lambert reviewing last night's Europa League games. Singer and Arsenal fan Passenger will look ahead to that game against Leeds. Could be a tough one. And former England cricketer Alex Tudor looks ahead to the T20 series with Sri Lanka live on talkSPORT 2. You've been listening to the Early Sports Breakfast with me, Nick Ellaby. Shebahn and Ray on the way next.
Kenny, big Liverpool fan. You're not King Kenny, are you, Kenny?
Well, I was nicknamed after Dad Bleach. I was born in the 70s.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
You can name me after that because...
Brilliant. What's acceptable to you then?
Well, Liverpool got to win the Champions League. They spent all this money in the transfer window. They've backed the manager, and he's not delivering. He's changing the philosophy of what Jurgen Klopp had instilled after many years of mediocre success. Jurgen Klopp came in, put the philosophy in, built the club ground up. This guy is destroying it. The more he's there, the more influence he's having. You can see the result. He won the league last year because Jurgen Klopp's philosophy was still instilled in the players. Aherne plays possession-based football. They're coming the most boring side in the world. It's like when Van Gaal took Man United. I was there at the Burnley game. The fans were shouting, attack, attack, attack. When